Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us again for this week's episode of DGX Spark Live. And this week we're going to be answering your questions about DGX Spark and GB10 systems. So again, welcome. Please introduce yourself in the chat. We love hearing about where everyone's from. So let us know where you're watching. It's always great to hear from everyone. So introduce yourself. Let us know where you're watching from. Hope everybody's having a great week. Joining us today is an illustrious panel of NVIDIA dignitaries to help answer your questions. We've got Piyush, Cam, Lakshmi, and Federico here to answer your questions live. So tee them up. Give them the hard questions. They're here to really answer. And of course, as always, we've got Zach in the background helping us keep things running smoothly. So with that, let's take a look and see if any questions are coming in about DGX Spark. I don't know. I can't see the questions myself. My screens all went dead. But what I think Piyush is monitoring for us. So maybe before we get started, I'll tee up a few questions for our panel. I know there's been a lot of work on DGX Spark looking at performance, and I know a lot of people always ask me about performance. How do I get the best performance out of DGX Spark? So maybe you guys might want to throw that question out there. If I've got a Spark, I got a GB10, how do I know I'm getting the best performance when I'm running my models or doing my work? Any tips or tricks or anything you guys can help provide to the listeners out there?
Yeah, I can take that. Actually, we recently released a performance guide on our GitHub link, and that link you can find it on our build.nvidia.com/spark page. Maybe Zach can as well put that link there. But it gives you a high-level understanding and overview of how to basically benchmark any LLM, VLM models with different frameworks. So be it Llama CVP, VLLM, SGLang, or TRT-LLM, or if you want to measure the performance of your diffusion models, right? So we have listed out a very detailed instruction set that you can follow and look at the performance on how the GB10 is doing. So yeah, feel free to check it out. It's there on our GitHub page. I'm gonna link it as well. So yep.
I saw someone asking about the list of playbooks. Yeah, they're out there too. Build.nvidia.com/spark. All the playbooks that there are, all kind of cool topics. They tell you how to do all kind of interesting things with Spark. It's a great place to get started and to learn about all the different technologies that are out there for NVIDIA. So let's take a look at some of the questions. Lots of them are coming now. So I see one that I can see right offhand. What's the hardest part about ensuring AI literacy for the future generations? Are the tools like DGX Spark going to be available for schools? Or it's more for software education, not keeping up the issue? We definitely want them in schools. We've got a lot of schools actually using them. We've got a blog post. I'm giving you a sneak peek coming out pretty soon with a bunch of universities and institutions that are using them. But now you guys have been working with different customers and partners for education. I think these are getting all over the place. I don't know if you guys have had any experience with that.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen a lot of universities slowly trying to adopt DGX Spark and use it in their research lab as a compute node. And I also see a lot of hackathons which are happening around this so that they can make cool projects and really understand what DGX Spark is all about. So we have been receiving and seeing great reception from all of these universities, schools. Yeah, it's been really great actually.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, Cam.
Said, I think probably like access is the other big thing, just getting devices and capabilities into people's hands to start trying and understanding kind of what are the boundaries and like what works well and what doesn't, how to approach it. We see a lot of things changing from just folks starting using chats and then moving on to using agents to get things done, and even understanding like what that shift is, I think is an interesting step for people. And so I think a big part of it is just getting in and trying, and then once schools have it in a lab or schools have it in an environment where they can use it, we see that accelerating quite a bit.
Yeah, it's all about democratizing access to AI, and hopefully Spark is going to help do that. I see someone else saying, when will NVIDIA DGX Spark be available in India? Very, very topical question. And of course, like any product, it takes a little time to get through all the regulatory processes. I know we've been working on that. I don't know if any of you guys have been involved with that, but I think it's happening pretty soon. I think we're almost there. I think we're going to be available for very soon, available there. So I think there's an AI summit coming up in India, and so I would say stay tuned for that in the next couple of weeks, and there's going to be some PR and press around it, and I think we will be talking about availability of Spark in India.
I see another question. Are all the blueprints available at build.nvidia.com/blueprints can be run on DGX Spark? So currently, all the playbooks that we have listed are the ones that we have specifically validated from our end. Yes, you can definitely give it a try to see whether those blueprints work on DJ Spark, because since everything runs on the same CUDA AI stack, ideally it should work, but there might be small hiccups that you might to go around and work around those hiccups. That's why we have these playbooks where we or NVIDIA engineers have validated and made sure like it runs smoothly on DGX Spark. But yeah, feel free to give it a try. And if you face any issues, just comment in our forum post and we'll look into it.
And I think that's a great thing you brought up, Pierce, is if you've got a Spark or you're interested in Spark, the forum, the online forums are a great place to go. You can read up later. You can join in discussions. You can ask questions. They're curated. People like you're seeing here today, our experts monitor those and they help answer questions there. So it's a great resource for you to learn all about Spark and to ask questions that you might have there as you get through your AI journey on GB10 and DGX Spark.
Right.
There was a question about NVFP4, but maybe that's a general topic. I get asked about that a lot. You know, what is NVFP4 and why should I use it? Like, what's the advantages about it versus other formats? So maybe that's a good point of discussion. You guys can talk about all the different data formats out there and kind of some of the benefits of picking and choosing your data format for your models.
Federico, Lakshmi, do you want to take that question? Just explaining the audience what NVFP4 is and how is it different from different other formats.
Lakshmi, do you want to take that?
Okay. Yeah, I can probably just give a quick overview of NVFP4. So NVFP4 is kind of like a native precision format that is supported only in Blackwell. We have a special kind of quantization scale, which takes the BF16 and converts that into NVFP4. So we have our entire NVFP4 paper out in the public so that the users can read through it. So I think compared to like the previous generation, which supports like FP8, so we went from BF16 to MXFP8, and then now we have two basic formats, which is NVFP4 and MXFP4. So if you want to read more about it, you could go through the paper of NVFP4. And also we have some preliminary notebooks that are out there for people to use in Transformers Engine, which is NVIDIA's library for, training models in, these FP8 and FP4 formats. So I think that is something that users should check it out. Federico, you want to add something on it?
I think you're spot on. The only other thing to call out is that Spark has not only support for NVFP4, but we still do support also FP8, BF16, and so on. So.
Yeah, and I think the great benefit is you get accuracy, right? I can use NVFP4 and maintain accuracy of a higher model, right? So that's important.
Yeah, I think there's very little degradation of like accuracy when you go from BF16 to FP4.
Yeah, there's several models that are lossless going from BF16 to NVFP4 and close to lossless. And we also get a huge speed up, right, in terms of pure throughput performance and tokens per second.
And where can people actually find these NVFP4 models to be? Is it there on the Hugging Face?
Several models NVIDIA has published on Hugging Face. So you can go on our Hugging Face page and you can find them there, especially for the newest and most popular and the ones that are especially made for Spark. On top of that, there's ModelOpt, which is available open source. It's a library that you can use to take existing models that are not ready in MVFP4, and you can quantize them yourself down to MVFP4. On top of that, there's several community contributions out there. The community has been extremely eager to publish more and more checkpoints for new models.
And I saw kind of along the same line, someone was asking if they could quantize like a 400 model per 100 gig. I think it said 400 gigabyte model down to 100 gigabyte using one Spark with NVFP4. I don't think you get exactly a ratio, right? If I go from a 16-bit model to a 4-bit model, I don't think I get exactly 1/4 the size, right? There's a little bit of overhead for that, right? So it'll be close, but not quite exactly.
There was a question asking about where can I find Spark specific Docker containers. So I think we have our NGC repository where you can find all the PyTorch, VLLM, TensorRT, and SGLang containers. I'm going to paste all those links in the chat so you can find it there as well.
Yeah. And then if you want to kind of get a direct path for a couple of those, the playbooks that are published on build.nvidia.com/Spark, they point to Spark specific containers as well. And so sometimes it can be a little easy to find the ones you want in there as well.
Right. All right.
A lot of questions coming in. And I saw another question about.
I was going to say, I saw a question about sort of schools, and it says, I know that Spark is more for individual developers. Will there be anything coming out in the future for school setting? So we are doing a lot to kind of make sure that Spark is well supported in school settings, both for individual kind of workstations and then also like classroom lab start types of settings. And so there's a lot of work kind of going on with customers who are deploying like that. And so as Alan mentioned, we're going to be talking more about that in the future, a little bit of just both who's been successful there, and then sharing a bit about like what are the tools they use to make sure they can manage the devices in that way. But Spark itself will be a great solution for schools.
Yeah, and you can set up today, right? I can set it up headless, put it on the network, and people are doing that today. They may share it with a couple of students or a couple of users. So you're free to do that. Again, you want to be nice and let your neighbor get on your Spark. Yeah, you can do that if you like. But again, there's a lot of interest in doing that. So as Cam said, we're going to support that. We think education is a great place to learn AI, and it's the future, right? So the more students we can get on board, the better we're all going to be.
And yeah, one thing I'll add there is that, for organizations that are already managing Ubuntu desktops on, in their lab environments, in their educational environments, because our base OS is built on Ubuntu, all the tools you're used to using should work out of the box on Spark. And so there's already a pretty good foundation in place for managing and operating those in an academic environment.
Someone that just popped up, where can I buy a Spark? Do I have to buy it from NVIDIA? Been in product marketing, I'll take that one. You can buy them a lot of places now. Sparks, and there's GB10 systems available from we've got 7 or 10 now partners, Dell, HP, Lenovo, Asus, Acer. If you want to buy one of those, many others, you can get them online. You can get in retail. They're available all over the place. So no, you don't have to just buy them for our website. In fact, our website's really kind of we do to kick things off, but we encourage our partners to carry the bulk of selling Spark. So you can get them pretty much anywhere now.
It's been exciting to see kind of the partners show up, and then also just the little improvements that they've been able to build on top of the design, whether it's cooling or power indicators, things like that. They're doing a great job there. So definitely go out and grab one from the OEMs. They're solid systems.
There's a question about clustering and Nemotron models that came up, running big models across boxes. So let's see.
Yeah, so I think they were asking when will a Nemotron 3 model that's bigger and can take better advantage of dual Spark clusters? I know, Federico, you have been working quite a lot with Nemotron models. How's your experience been, and do you have any early indicators as to when people can expect Nemotron models to be released and like can stack dual Spark and build a huge cluster out of it?
Yeah, great question. Nemotron free models are up and coming, so coming soon. I don't think we can give an official timeline yet,
Right.
but we're definitely targeting dual Spark, and that's something that we're really focusing on. We want to make sure that we can allow plenty of workloads and workflows on 2 Sparks.
Right. So I guess stay tuned for GDC.
Absolutely.
The plug. Then there was a question, what's the main difference between the Spark versus AMD Halo? Big question. Well, I guess one is AMD and one's NVIDIA, I guess, is kind of the main difference, if you want the main difference. But, it's another product in the space, and I think it really highlights that people really are interested in having these smaller computers, large memory, that can run AI. And so, I think it's great to see the other developers and other OEM partners looking at and providers looking at this and realizing this. But for us, I mean, Spark, it's got our NVIDIA Grace Blackwell technology in our software stack. And we always believe that for us is where we want people to be. And we think it's the most advanced ecosystem. We spent a long time, many years. You guys can speak to that as well, all the partners we've built. And so we think for us, that's a big differentiator. So, that we think is a value, and you can get that on Spark. Right? You can get large memory, you get access to the NVIDIA software platform, the ecosystem, and build. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts, but I think that's the big to me.
I think just the one other thing I'd add is, Spark is a complete computer, and Strix Halo is a chipset and it's a platform that partners build computers out of. So there's some differences there, but the Spark also has incredibly powerful networking capability with the CX7 based networking at a 200 gigabit link to connect 2 Sparks together, and that that's something that very much sets it apart. And then being on ARM64 architecture is consistent with what we have in our cloud instances as well. And so not just the ecosystem, but the ability to take what you've learned and built on a Spark locally and then go deploy that to whether that's like a GB200 or something in the cloud. That consistency is also a really important difference.
Right. We have another question here. Just had 2 more questions. We have 2 labs with 35 computers each running, I guess, Windows 11. Would you recommend having 1 per lab? Well, I guess that depends on what kind of workload you're running, and if the workload is can be run on like DGX OS, which is basically a flavor of Linux, right? So it heavily depends on what kind of workload you're running. But if it's just running an inference workload, definitely you could use DGX Spark there and have it run and use it as an inference server. But it's not just an inference service, right? Like you can go one step ahead and do fine tuning and take advantage of the CUDA AI stack that we provide with it, do all kind of stuff with that. Basically, it's a prototyping device for anyone who wants to learn, build, research, and basically take advantage of CUDA, right? So, yeah.
And that goes on. One question said, can you do CUDA programming on Spark? And of course you can, right? You can.
Yeah.
So it's a great platform for that as well. And in fact, we even showed at CES using some of the tools, the CUDA Code Copilot with Insight. There's a preview of using it there. So we definitely believe that's a great platform for CUDA development.
I see a question asking about DGX Spark and Jetson Thor and how they complement each other. I think these are 2 very complementary platforms. The Thor device is really designed to kind of enable more sort of embedded types of deployments, and so you might build a Thor into a robot, and then you'd use Spark as your dev kit, as your workstation system that you can go build and compile on and do your coding activities on. And they do work very well together. They have what we call a complementary SM versions, and so that means you can compile and run things on the Spark and take those binaries and run them on the Thor and have that code flow across really easily. And so they're definitely built to work together.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to remember is we have a full Blackwell GPU on Spark, so you can actually do visualization on it. The Jetson platforms don't all have that. So they're very complementary, as Cam said. You could do some visualization piece on one, maybe run Isaac Sim, look at what the robot's doing, and then have your Thor doing some of the other workloads on there. So very complementary systems for each other. And along that same vein, someone asked, what are the benefits of getting both the DGX Spark and RTX Pro Blackwell 6000? Is there any way of combining the two? I don't think there's any way. You can't fit a 6000 inside of a Spark, so you can't physically combine the two. But as a developer, you might have use cases where you want to have some other systems there, right, to do some more work.
Yeah, I mean, one advantage of Spark is its VRAM, right? Like 128 GB of unified memory, whereas I guess RTX Blackwell Pro has 6000 has 96 GB of memory. So you can, depending upon your workload, you can choose what device to use and switch around both of these devices, right?
And if you have a PC with RTX Pro, you could put a Spark next to it as a complement for sure.
Right.
And we've seen folks that use RTX Pro for like their visualization workloads. They might be running Blender or some other kind of 3D modeling kind of application on the RTX Pro, and they may be running 3D AI models on the Spark that are then going and doing some work on behalf to improve the workflow, whether that's generating textures or generating 3D models that are getting brought into the modeling environment on the Pro. So there's some pretty interesting, exciting workflows that can be created there.
I guess along the same line, there was a similar question for a regular consumer. What is the main workload where DGX Spark really shines compared to a powerful GPU like RTX 5090 or 6000 Pro? So again, all of these GPU, be it DGX Spark 5090, Pro 6000, all of them run on the same CUDA stack, right? So it really depends on what workload you're running and what VRAM is needed for that workload. So accordingly, you would choose. One of the advantages that these Beast GPU, I call them Beast GPU because the speed at which they push out tokens is really insane, right? So the memory bandwidth of these two GPUs is way higher than what DGX Spark offers. But the VRAM capability of DGX Spark is way higher than what these guys offer. So it highly depends on how you want to kind of disaggregate your workload and choose appropriate device for each of the tasks that you're doing.
And you often might want to offload, right? I have an RTX Pro laptop and I don't want to have it bogged down doing a tuning all afternoon and I can't use it for anything to join meetings or anything else I want to do with it. So my Spark, I offload that, right? And so it's a good way to add extra compute because normally I'd have to go to cloud or data center to do that, right? But I want to consume my system 100%. So it's a nice extra compute unit that you can have right on your desk to do that.
Yeah, I think there's another question about is it possible to quantize a model that's greater than 128 GB on a single Spark using a single Spark GPU, or would it spill over? So I think just to quickly answer that question, we have tried to load a 180 billion parameter model in full precision. So what you have to do is you have to quantize the model on the fly. So we were able to do 180 billion parameter model fine tuning using Unsloth, where we basically loaded the 180 billion parameter model and kept quantizing it on the fly to N4. So if you have a model that's bigger than 128 GB, then you can still try to fit it on Spark using on-the-fly quantization methods. So, yeah.
Yeah, and let me plug ModelOpt there, but ModelOpt also has some support for doing on-the-fly quantization along those lines.
Yeah.
I see a question about CUDA 13.1 being supported on DGX Spark for Qtile. So the latest CUDA containers actually include CUDA 13.1. You can run those on Spark, and you can get Qtile there. We're actively working on a playbook to show people how, but the support's already there.
Yeah.
I'm going to paste the PyTorch link again in the chat, so you can just use that Docker container, and when you do NVIDIA SMI, you should be seeing CUDA 13.1 inside it. So you can use that.
You can use it in that container.
Yeah, I think from 25.012, CUDA 13 was supported, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, and one thing to kind of keep in mind there is that, while we do have a certain version of the GPU driver and the CUDA toolkit that's installed on the Metal on the host OS, typically newer versions of the containers that we offer will be the best way to get kind of the latest CUDA on the device. And so typically that's the starting point. And then the version that's running on the host is going to revise a little bit more slowly. That's just to make sure folks have stability on the core platform that's there.
Yeah, there's a question about ARM wheels support for PyTorch and VLM. Maybe we can pin that one. Yeah, so we do have support for both PyTorch and VLM on Spark. You can use VLM both with DL framework containers as well as bare metal directly with wheels. You can build from source and it should work out of the box. PyTorch wheels in the latest 2.10 do come with CUDA 13.0 support for Spark as well. So PyTorch, pull it directly. VLM, you can use a container or build it from source at the time being. But both are supported.
All right, we probably got time for one more question. I saw someone ask you guys, what are your favorite use cases for Spark? Any you guys run across anything? You saw somebody doing something really cool? I got an email, a message, somebody's got a Spark down at the South Pole using it down there. But I don't know if you guys have any favorite use cases or things that you've seen since Sparks have been out there.
I mean, I don't have a very specific, like a favorite use case. Whenever I have free time, I am always on Spark running cloud code and stuff and building applications on top of it, benchmarking models and stuff like that. And whenever a new CUDA library comes out, I definitely give it a try on DGX Spark so that, I can learn about it, play with it, and see how it performs and stuff. One cool thing that I built was using this open source tool called N8N, where I had kind of linked my Discord server with it, and it was running a Flux model. So since I'm a little bit, on the Instagram sometime, but I don't want to edit photos there, so I give it to Spark and give it a prompt, and it'll give me back the photo, which I can then upload to Instagram and like stuff like that. So yeah, that was a cool project for me.
Anybody else see anything cool? I saw someone who used a Spark to build a robot for their kid and used like a phone for the face. So that was kind of a cool.
That was pretty cool. And I think, the Ricci Mini thing that was demoed at CES was a similar kind of robotics exercise. That was really, really neat to see. I've been enjoying using models that create 3D models on the Spark and kind of bringing them into Blender and kind of seeing what kind of capability you can get out of kind of going from 2D imagery into 3D with it. That's been sort of a fun thing on the side.
Yeah, I did that too, actually, Cam. Like I had a small, like a Hot Wheels car, which I took a photo and used a trellis model and then generated 3D model out of it, and then also 3D printed it.
Yeah, my have these minis, and so it's kind of funny to take pictures of the minis and then make a 3D model out of the thing. I've already got a 3D thing up. But
all right, I think it's just.
I think we're probably about at time. So again, thanks everybody for joining us. I want to remind you, GTC 2026 is almost upon us. It's coming up. I think we've got a slide there. Yeah, thanks, Zach. If you can join us live, we would love to see you in San Jose. You can register now. You can also register online if you can't make it here in person. Register online. It's a great, fun time. A lot of great sessions are going to be there. Spark, DGX Spark GB10 will be everywhere, and our very own Piyush is going to be doing a lab there, a live hands-on lab where we're going to build an agent on Spark. I don't know if we have that slide or not. I was going to give you a plug, Piyush, but there it is. So if you're going to be there live, you can go and join the class and get hands-on on a Spark and work with Piyush while he shows you how to build your own AI agent there live at the show. So thanks again to our panel for joining us. We try to get to as many questions as we can. There were a lot. We'll continue answering them post-show. But again, thank you everybody in the live stream for joining us, and we will see you again next week for our next episode of DGX Spark Live. Have a great weekend, everybody.